Don't follow me. We're praying. We're not doing the flag.
Not yet.
And I'm following.
Lord help them. Help them all this up here, dear Father. Dear Father, we come to you today just saying thank you. Thank you, Father, for allowing us all to be here, being here in good health and strength. Father, we ask you that today, as we do the business of Cumberland County, that you let us do it in decent and in order, and that we do it out of our heart, doing the right thing for our citizens, Father, as this commission always does. Father, we ask you to bless those folk that were in Maui, and we ask you to give them some peace, give them some strength. And Father, as we end up today, we ask you that when we leave from here, that you encamp your angels around us, and that we all return home in safety. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now you can. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. At this time, I do want to stop to pay homage to former City Councilman Ted Moon in his passing. And Ted was absolutely a phenomenal man. He was a numbers man, and I tell you, if anybody could get the scoop on some numbers or the maps or anything like that, it was Ted Moon. And so I just wanted to recognize him. And at this time, I will move on to the recognitions. I will ask Ms. Alfreda Williams and Lillian Hughes to come to the podium, please. Okay. Cooperative Extension 4H. Okay. 2 Cumberland County 4-H volunteers have recently taken on the leadership position at the district and state levels. County Extension Director Lisa Childers and the 4-H team wish to recognize Ms. Alfreda Williams and Ms. Lillian Hughes for their service to youth and volunteers in Cumberland County and across North Carolina. Mrs. Williams has been a Cumberland County 4-H volunteer since 2007 when her children were youth, and she has served in leadership positions including president of the 4-H County Council. She most recently served as the president-elect for the State Volunteer Leaders Association and will become the president for the NC 4-H Volunteer Leaders Association in February of 2024. Ms. Hughes began volunteering with Cumberland County 4-H in 2015. With her 2 teenagers, she chartered Teens in Action after identifying the need for teenagers to have a positive area for connection during COVID. Teens in Action transitioned from strictly virtual to a thriving group of teens that are engaged in learning and community service. She currently serves as the secretary for the South Central District 4-H Volunteer Leaders Association. Thank you to you both. Our children just be pulling us into everything, don't they? But it works and it helps. So at this time, I want to present both of you with a little gift from the county. And also this appreciation, I'll just read one. It says Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is presented to Alfreda Williams and Lillian Hughes in recognition of her dedication to the 4-H program, cooperative extension, and the youth and volunteers of Cumberland County. The Board of Commissioners acknowledge and celebrate the efforts of their commitment and leadership dated this 21st day of August 2023, signed by myself, Dr. Tony Stewart. So thank you so much. Thank you. Either of you would like to have anything to say? Okay.
Madam Chair, and to the Board of County Commissioners, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity to serve. Thank you for this opportunity to serve with my fellow adult volunteers, and also to support the youth of North Carolina 4-H. It's been an awesome journey volunteering with 4-H. I look forward to, matter of fact, we're having our conference in February, and our theme is 4-Hers lighting our flame from mountains to sea. And I can certainly say that 4-H is the place to be.
That's right.
Yes, very briefly, I just want to address the board and say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, because we serve so many children in Cumberland County, and the importance of 4-H and finding a place where they belong, they can be free, and they can grow safe. It's just wonderful to be a part of it. I'm a proud volunteer, and I'll hope to continue doing this for many, many years. Thank you.
I'm in a meeting. Thank you for your service. It's really appreciated. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Hey, you know that's right. Come on down. Hold up your.
Don't be afraid. We won't bite.
There you go.
Hold up your certificates. Hold it up high. There you go. Straight. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
One minute.
At this time, I will now invite Mr. Hector Hughes to the podium, Cumberland County NCACC Youth Voice Delegate. Hector Hughes is Cumberland County's 2023 Youth Voice Delegate. The North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, NCACC, and its partners, 4-H Youth Development and Boys and Girl Clubs of North Carolina will sponsor Youth Voice in Wake County on August 25th, 26th of 2023. The intensive 2-day citizenship and leadership seminar is held in conjunction with the NCACC's annual conference. Delegates will attend several events with elected and appointed officials and learn about the role of the county commissioners and develop strategies to further their leadership and communication skills. Hector, a recent high school graduate, has been a part of Cumberland County 4-H since 2015. He has participated in local, district, and state competition, played an integral role charting a new club, and held several leadership positions. As a recent high school graduate, he is moving forward to his next endeavor while serving as a mentor and teen volunteer. Congratulations. Are you going to serve with me? Are you going to be serving with me? You going to serve up here with me? You going to serve up here with me? Yeah, with me. And this says, in recognition of his outstanding service as a voice of youth in the community, the Board of Commissioners acknowledge and celebrate Hector as Cumberland County's 2023 Youth Voice Delegate at the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Annual Conference and Youth Voice Seminar, dated the 21st day of August. Thank you, Hector.
See you in Raleigh. That's great.
script down here. Yep. Good afternoon. Today I want to talk to you about something an experience that has been in 4-H and how it's impacted my learning and how it shaped my life. My family found out about 4-H through the homeschool group that we were part of. I was just 9 years old and had been homeschooled all my life. I started with a chicken project. This program teaches children how to raise and take care of poultry, from how to get ready for the baby chicks when they arrived, to all the way to showmanship and project record keeping. All of this is a great learning experience for a 9-year-old to add to his life. But if not just the learning, it's the character building. I learned about responsibility, compassion, teamwork, winning, and failing. I think we started 4-H as a way to engage with other kids and learn new things. For us, it started as an extracurricular activity that we could add to our homeschool. But the more we got involved, the more we realized that there was so much to learn. But the most valuable part is leadership. Starting at the club level, we were given plenty of opportunities to lead in some way or another by little, and start building confidence to step up to the county, regional, and state level. Today, I am 18 years old. I just graduated from high school, and today is my first class at FTCC. Sadly, this is my last year in 4-H. It's been a journey that changed my life, as I am an introvert, and for me, it is easier to follow than to lead. But thanks to 4-H, I've been able to do so many things that I never thought I'd be able to do. 4-H changed my life, and it keeps changing it every time I see my club working towards a common goal. Trying to better help our community through service projects and educating the public on issues what we are passionate about. So I want to thank you very much for your support and believing in the youth. Believing that supporting a 9-year-old kid to raise chickens can one day impact the world. Thank you, and I look forward to learning and character building Youth Voice will have in my life this coming Friday. Thank you.
Congratulations. Keep it in your bag.
Lisa and Jessica?
Wait, no, we gotta take my picture.
No, we gotta take a picture. And Lisa? Jessica? And Mom?
One, two. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Lisa, stay here.
Stop in the hall.
And now we will invite Alexandra Garcia and Sarah to the podium. Are you standing instead?
I'm standing in for Sarah.
Okay.
It has her first day at Community Chapel Hill today.
Okay, well, that's pretty important. Okay. The North Carolina Association of Agriculture Fair Scholarship winners in County Fair. The Agriculture Fairs award scholarships to individuals who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. This year, 2 of the 6 statewide winners were from Cumberland County. Miss Alexandria Garcia will be attending Fayetteville Technical Community College with aspirations of completing a degree in plant nursing management. Interesting. She is a recent graduate from Grace Creek High School, go Bears, yeah, where she was an active member of the FFA. Sarah is attending the UNC at Chapel Hill, where she will study environmental science. Sarah is a recent graduate of Terry Sanford High School and is a longtime member of Cumberland County 4-H. Combined, their scholarship awards total nearly $9,000, which is going directly to continuing their education. These young ladies spent hundreds of hours preparing and working at the Cumberland County Fair over the course of their high school career. Both have started classes and are very appreciative of the board's acknowledgement of their shared success. So, Ms. Alexander, thank you so much. Here is your county pen, county coin. This is your certificate in recognition of receiving the North Carolina Association of Agricultural Fairs Scholarship. The Cumberland County Board of Commissioners acknowledge and celebrate your hard work and dedication to the community, 4-H, and Cumberland County Fair. Thank you for all you do. And I'm going to put this in here because you have to go through the same routine, everybody. And you can start that way, and I will, Jessica, so this is Sarah. Let me get, you can go ahead and, I got to give her a pen.
Congratulations. Enjoy college.
So proud of these young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. My sinuses.
One, two, three.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
At this time now, we'll call on Miss Lisa to come and provide an overview of the Cumberland County, Lisa Children, I'm sorry, to provide an overview of the Cumberland County Fair.
Good evening. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to recognize our 4-Hers, these wonderful volunteers, and our 2 scholarship winners. We really, really appreciate that. We are excited to share that the Cumberland County Fair will begin September 1 through the 10th. Many of you have been to our fair before, so we hope that you will come back again. I was glad to see that Shane is here from the Crown Center because, of course, his folks take on such a huge role, and it's a partnership to make this a great event for our community. Our theme this year is Off to the Fair. Where have you heard that before? Charlotte's Web. And so this is our theme this year, and it's one of the chapters. I didn't know either, Mr. Faircloth, but it's one of the chapters, and my goal is to bring the Charlotte's Web book to life for children. So when you come in, we're going to have a 900 square foot exhibit, and we are going to focus on children's literacy and, of course, agriculture, because you know that's what I'm there to do. But we really want this to be interactive for kids. We're in the process of securing a grant where we're going to purchase 1,400 Charlotte Web books that will be distributed throughout our community for 4th graders. And so we're really excited about that. Last year, we had about 30,000 people come to the fair. We're expecting better weather this year, and hopefully that number will be even greater. The county departments have all pulled together. We're going to have a huge presence from Cumberland County government. We're going to have a lot of different areas for children. And so we just want to invite you all to come. We will do a ribbon cutting on the first day on September 1st at 5 p.m. Please come out and be a part of that. You can get your picture taken, and you can get a lot of tours of the different exhibits. So again, September 1st through the 10th at the Crown Arena, and we just look forward to having you come join us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
At this moment, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Dr. Searles, my friend from Fayetteville Technical Community College, as well as Ms. Terry Thomas. I see Seth back there, Terry from Vision Resource Center, and Brenda Jackson, our DSS Director, and Dr. Jennifer Green, our Cumberland County Health Department. I'm sorry?
He said Robert Gins.
Hi, Robert, wherever you are. I don't see. Oh, hey, Robert. Robert Bedgins. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Anybody else that I missed, please forgive me. I'll just put my glasses back on. Okay, at this time, if I may, stop to recognize Mako Medical for their help today. They went into Agrabee Wilkins as well as Grace Creek and provided food for their pantries. Open house is coming up on this Thursday, and those are our two Cumberland County schools that have food pantries, and they came in and they stocked it up. Not only that, I thought Agrabee Wilkins had a freezer in their food pantry. They did not. So here we were with all this bag of frozen food, and they went out and bought a freezer for their food pantry, and they were really excited about that. So I just want to acknowledge Brent Ross and Mike Burke for their donation to Cumberland County Schools Food Pantry. And they're not here, but I still wanted to stop and recognize them. Yes,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Adams.
and if you have an opportunity, if you go on Facebook Live, the chair was on Facebook Live today.
You've seen that.
You'd be surprised what we know. So you can go on Facebook and you can probably view our chairwoman doing an excellent job stocking that pantry, and along with our clerk and assistant clerk being able to be there. So thank you so much for what you do on a daily basis, chairwoman.
Thank you. At this time, I will call on County Manager, and thank you, Andrea and Iva, for what you do. Yes. I will call on, it is our public comment period, I will call on County Manager Greer to read the public comment policy.
The public comment policy is as follows. The public comment period shall last no longer than 15 minutes. Time may be extended at the discretion of the board. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make remarks until the 15-minute limit is attained. No time may be yielded to a speaker by another speaker. Speakers will be acknowledged by the board in the order in which their names appear on the sign-up sheet. Speakers will address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers will not discuss matters regarding the candidacy of any person seeking public office. Speakers will be courteous in their language and presentation. Personal attacks will not be tolerated, and written comments and/or supporting documents may be left with the clerk to the board. Currently, we have. I'm sorry.
Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
We have 5 speakers. Our first speaker is Steve Harper.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Harper.
My name is Steve Harper. I stay at 5707 Bashford Court, Fayetteville, North Carolina. First of all, thank each one of y'all for serving the county of Cumberland. I come here today to represent, speaking for one of the most, I think, class of people who have been left out, and that is the middle class taxpayers. As you know, the middle class taxpayers pay, far as percentage-wise, pay more tax than any other group. You're reaching the famous or anybody else. And when the senior citizen, when they retire at 65 or older, a lot of senior citizens, they have had good jobs when they was working. They send their kids to school, and they pay most tax than anybody else. In North Carolina, they have 3 tax exempt, and each one they have, each one of them deserve it. They have a tax exempt for the low class people, and they deserve it. They have for the military, and our state senator, which I already contact her, my representative, and I contact my House of Representatives, and Ms. Jackson, she had a bill in about the military, and they deserve it. I had 3 brothers, and my father was in the military. But as I said before, the middle class have been forgotten about. Now, the North Carolina can give, and I understand the reason they give incentive to all these companies coming in here, and that's fine because you got to have jobs. But you start giving millions of dollars away, and in 2030, no corporation would pay income tax, would pay tax. But yet and still, our senior citizen. If you read the AARP magazine and stuff, a lot of senior citizens is hurting. I mean, they work hard, but the inflation have raised up everything now. Everybody understand that. We're not asking for a handout. We're just asking something to help us, senior citizens. South Carolina have a tax home exemption, where no matter at 65 years or older, they give each person $50,000, no matter income. And like I said, North Carolina have income, and every exemption they have, they got a limit on it. But what I'm asking y'all today is to contact our representative in Raleigh and let them know that the senior citizens, middle class, are struggling. You see articles about people that can't pay for the medicine and stuff like that. It's real. A lot of companies now don't give pension. I'm fortunate enough I have a pension. I'm in middle class, but I'm not hurting right now, but I don't know how long I'm going to live. But, we need some kind of exemption. And I'm sorry. Thank you for your time, but please
Thank you, Mr. Harper.
Contact your representative.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Christopher Cheek.
Okay.
Mr. Cheek? Okay.
Shirley Berg.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Berg.
So I'm long-winded, so I brought my paper with me. So I come today to speak to you about my community. I live in Lentz Carter subdivision. Some of you probably said, oh Lord, here she is again. I've written everyone between here and high heaven trying to get support for repairing my neighborhood. I'm told that I don't live in Cumberland County. I'm told I don't belong to the state. I'm told that I live on a subdivision that doesn't belong to anyone because the developer did not annex it. That's not my fault. I've called and asked for repairs and repairs. They repaired all around me and dumped the excess out, which was like a slap in the face. I've asked to be annexed. I've asked for assistance. I'm too old to be getting out there to be patching holes up, because that's what I've been doing. And when I was unable to do it myself, I had to call Diamond Construction to repair my road. I live here. I pay taxes here. I work here. I deserve something. I am a veteran. I'm not going to know how much longer I'm going to be able to be out there digging holes, patching holes. I don't think that's something that I should be doing. I'm just asking for help. I've called DOT. I've called every direction that you've sent me, and I went to that direction. I called the transportation because the school bus comes down my road. They pick up one child out of my neighborhood. The hole was this big. Now it's this big. And I keep patching it up and keep doing the best that I can do. But I care about where I live at. I know that I want to live in a neighborhood like you live in. I want to live like everyone else without being able to fall into a hole. I can't sell my house. Who's going to buy a house with a sinkhole in front of it? So I need some assistance, some directions, because each directions that I'm being sent to has been a dead end. The school bus transportation coordinator said, I'll call you back in a day. It's been 3 weeks. I called back again. I've called the state. I've called the city. I've called God himself, and I'm still got a hole in front of my house that I have to repair. So I'm just asking for someone to point me in a real direction, not just brush me off your desk and say, well, my desk is clean. Because I matter. I matter just like each one of you matter. I want to live in a neighborhood that I'm proud of. When I moved in there, it was a nice neighborhood. I'd like to continue with that. I don't want to move. I've invested too much in my home, but I don't want to live in trash. I want to live in a house or a neighborhood that I'm proud to live in. And I can't seem to get there. I can't seem to get that help. And so I'm asking for help. And they told me I have the wrong street signs. I didn't put those street signs up there. I went out there and looked, it says State Road. They said, if you live on a state road, the school bus can come down there. But we can make holes. You're picking up a child that I don't want the child to walk 4 miles, but that child is not my child. My kids are 42 years old. I don't have any small children, no school-age children. I just want to be fair.
What neighborhood did you say, ma'am?
Lentz Carter.
Lentz Carter.
Lentz Carter. I live at 4383 Lentz Carter, Lentz.
And your address, ma'am?
4383 Wysick, Wycick Road.
What part of the county?
Good question. I live off of Cumberland Road. If they said it's Lynx Card, I just don't know, because no one seems to tell me what it is. When I bought the house, no one told me I was in the house.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Kathy Greggs.
Okay. Ms. Greggs, all right.
Matthew Jones. There are no more speakers.
Okay.
You know how to grab some.
All right, at this time, we will close the public comment period, and we will move on to the approval of the agenda. County Manager Greer, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are two changes to the agenda, Madam Chairwoman. On items of business, item 5A, that should be on consent, and then there will not be a need for a closed session tonight.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our presentation. I will call now on Dr. Jennifer Green from the our Public Health Director. Good evening, Dr. Green.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just asked if she said that timer on you right there. I know you, Dr. Green. That's all right. Yeah.
All right, good afternoon. I'm here for a quick COVID update. I recognize that these graphs are a little bit hard to see, but don't worry, I'm going to tell you what is on them. We're going to first talk a little bit about our COVID trends. The first graph to your left is our wastewater surveillance from the state. So these are statewide metrics that we're looking at, but the regional data is reflective of the same. So on the left-hand side, you will see our wastewater monitoring. This is the amount of COVID-19 particles that are in our wastewater and gives us a good indicator. We use our wastewater as an early warning indicator. That means typically when we see increases in our wastewater data, a couple of weeks later, we see increases in hospitalizations. And so on the graph on the left-hand side, you can see those bar graphs creeping up, which means we have more COVID in our wastewater than we have had in quite some time. And then on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side in the purple graph, you can see our emergency department visits for respiratory viruses. So the purple bars are all of our respiratory viruses together, so COVID, flu, and RSV. And then that darker blue line is our COVID line. So you can see that number starting to tick up just a little bit. And so we're starting to see some statewide and then regional increases in our wastewater, COVID, and emergency department visits. So we want folks to get ready for fall respiratory season. It's coming, and we talk about respiratory season, and what we mean by that is we typically look at COVID, flu, and RSV. So a couple of things are important in action to take now. First, we want people to get up to date with their COVID vaccine. So I'm going to talk about old boosters and new boosters. So we've our old boosters are the ones that were fall 2022 COVID-19 boosters. Everybody 6 months and older should have at least one of those booster shots. If you have not had that, it is not too late to get one of our old fall 2022 COVID-19 booster shots. You can do that now at the health department. We continue to vaccinate. We continue to have those for free. This fall, there will be another new updated booster shot. We are working towards, and by we I mean the CDC and the FDA, are working towards a much more annualized COVID-19 vaccine. So that is expected to be available by the end of September, early October. We have not, that's not past the final few steps from the FDA and CDC just yet, so we haven't been able to order those, but we will have an updated fall booster shot this fall, again, end of September, early October. Also, Per the usual, we will have flu vaccine this year. You'll see me back in front of you in early September about our flu vaccines and our fees for flu vaccines, so I'll see you again next month. But we will be asking folks again to get their seasonal flu vaccine. We kind of use Halloween as our marker. We ask people to get that before Halloween, but you'll hear me say in November, if you haven't gotten your flu shot yet, please go get your flu shot. So make sure you get those flu shots, and that's available for everybody 6 months and older, and in particular important for those that are high risk. And then new this year will be on RSV vaccine. So you might have seen this in the news. Folks that are over the age of 60 should be talking with their healthcare provider about getting the RSV vaccine. We'll plan to have that available at the health department. It's not available for us to order yet. However, some local pharmacies, some of your big box chain pharmacies, they do already have that COVID RSV vaccine available. So once we have that, we will make sure that's available to the public. The last part we want to talk about for preparing for our respiratory virus season is really thinking about getting tested and treated. So we still have free at-home COVID test kits at the health department. We took those out with us to every outreach event that we go to, and you can come pick those up for your household. So even if you're getting ready, you don't have COVID symptoms right now, we encourage you to go get those from us, and so you can be ready for the fall COVID season. So if you test positive, we encourage you to go seek out treatment. We have a couple of treatment options that are available. Our state health department has a handy COVID treatment finder. You can type in your zip code and you can find a treatment option, a location that is close to you. So seeking out testing and treatment. You can also get tested for flu and RSV from your primary care provider. And then also we have to remember our pre-COVID, during COVID, long time public health good measures. Wash your hands, cover your mouth, don't sneeze on people, don't cough on people, cough into your elbow, and then making sure you're staying home when you're sick. The other new piece this year is a vaccine. The CDC is classifying it as a vaccine for our babies. For RSV. So this is something new. Again, this summer, RSV for adults, 60 and older, and then RSV vaccines for our kids that are under the age, that are our very littlest ones. That will be available this fall as well. What I anticipate is going to happen this fall is that we'll have a slow start as all the approvals get through, and then next year will be our really big year for RSV and RSV vaccines. So once that is available, we'll have that at the health department. We don't have the ability to order that just yet, but when we do, we will make sure that is out and available for the public. And that is all I have. What questions do you have? Yes, sir.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes. Just in case everybody needs to hear it again, where can they get the flu vaccines?
Yes, so we do not have flu vaccines just yet. I'm anticipating that will be end of September after we come back to you about the fees and after we are able to order those, and that will be at the health department on a walk-in basis. You don't need an appointment. You don't need, with your approval, you won't need any money. We ask you to bring an ID card, and you'll be able to get those flu shots, COVID shots, and RSV shots from us at the health department.
At the health department?
Yes.
No satellite offices or working with?
We will. Typically, we do. We get lots of requests to go out into the community, and so typically we have a series of COVID and flu vaccines out in the community. We always do, or at least I won't say always. The last 3 years, we've done our Vax Your Pet, Vax Yourself event, so we're planning for that now, where we have rabies vaccines for the animals, and then we do flu and COVID for the humans.
Because I know just people have told me, I don't know, but people have told me the senior centers would like to have you around.
Okay, we will, and we've done that before, so we will we'll reach out to them about, we were just doing a little planning session today to get our sites for RSV.
Want them lining up outside and starting to give you comments on how long it's taken and everything.
Yes, we can. Yeah, that's good timing because we're in planning mode right now.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Adams.
Madam Chair, I don't have a question on this, but I would like for you, because school's about to start, and we do have our vaccination at these different schools. If you could just lightly speak on that for all of our kids that are going back to school. I think you're doing a tremendous job, and people have an opportunity to go to numerous sites. So, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I just think that's important for our people who are listening.
All right, here's my begging. Parents, guardians, we need your help to get your kids vaccinated. All of our kindergartners, 7th graders, and 12th graders are required to get a series of vaccines before they start school. If you do not get them before they start school, you have 30 days from the start of the school year to get those vaccines. So we are collaborating with Cumberland County Schools to do a series of vaccine clinics this year. I'm not going to try to remember all of the dates and times off the top of my head, but they will start on September the 5th. And there'll be evening clinics from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have 4 of those in Spring Lake, Lewis Chapel, Mac Williams, and Douglas Burt. I did it. And we will be there at varying days, and that will be for our 7th graders and our 12th graders. Those are our off-site clinics. For our kindergartners, those vaccines are pretty tricky to carry off-site, so they will be offered at the health department, and then we have a late evening clinic on September the 12th. So parents, our lines get very long at the health department on that 30th day. So please do not wait till that 30th day. We need you to come now to go get those vaccines.
And all of that's on our website for people to be able to pull down those dates and times.
Yes.
I don't have any school-age kids anymore, but I think and I implore everybody to go get those vaccines. Thank you for what you all do and all of that work.
Thank you. And we have some swag bags. If you come, we'll get lots of goodies for you. And if you come to our on-site clinics, we have a free meal voucher for you and a free produce bag, a bag of produce for you if you come to our school-based clinic. So come see us in Cumberland County. NC.gov is where you can find all the information.
And I will reiterate, the sooner the better.
The sooner the better.
You think the lines are long there. Wait until you start getting your kid come home with that letter saying they can't come to school because they don't have their shots up to date. And those lines at CVS, and you can't even get into your pediatrician because they're booked. So we got to make sure that we do it sooner than later.
Sooner rather. And I'll remind folks that the same thing for our kindergartners. I'd be remiss if I didn't say they also need a child care health assessment within 30 days of the start of the school year. If you've never been in Cumberland County or a school in North Carolina, or you have a kindergarten student, they have a child health assessment that's due at the same time within 30 days. And if you haven't called your pediatrician, you need to do that today because they are running out of slots, and then you'll come to us, and then we'll run out of slots too. So please do both those things, whether it's through us or your pediatrician. Get on that schedule now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Green. Now we will move on to the Crown Event Center Manager Greer. If you would introduce the next item and presenter, please.
Yes, the next item is the schematic design. There's going to be a presentation regarding that with the Crown Event Center. Back on August the 15th, we had a Crown Committee meeting, and we presented the schematic design. I'm going to turn over to Assistant Manager Brian Haney to go through the presentation and what the committee approved.
Thank you. Mr. Haney.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
This is an exciting presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to Bill Coons with Ewing Cole, our project architect, to go through it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Good evening.
Members of the community. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you this evening about a very exciting project for the community in the Crown Event Center. I promise I won't turn it over to anyone else, but we'll take you through what was approved last week by the Crown Committee and kind of give you a flavor for what we have to look forward to. So, Crown Event Center, 140,000 square foot new event hall and multi-purpose facility right here in that parking lot. We look forward to this process with all of you. And this is a facility that we hope to present as a community influencing facility for years to come. So what we see here, and let me see if I can find the pointer. Yeah. So what we see here is a new event venue, multi-purpose facility, and here we have the historic courthouse across Gillespie Street, which is here, Otis Jones Parkway, Russell, and Dick Street with the county building in this corner here. Trying to be cognizant of everyone's time this evening. The second floor we have really is the VIP floor. So we'll have various VIP spaces and seating as well as private boxes. Then third floor, more general seating, an outdoor terrace, and just really various food and bar venues. So I'll bring you to the elevation. One last piece. There was a lot of discussion early on about how the event center would face this building and how it would be addressed from the standpoint of shows coming to the venue. So what has been decided upon is an enclosed service yard that will better enable us to hide or present a better image to the community from a street level. And this is really what we would expect in any urban environment. So we have a wall and doors, so tractor trailers and buses and trash and recycling are all behind a closed door and does not present a messy rear to the community. Public space, Gillespie Street. Real important as we look at the front door to this facility. So we have really attempted to create a nice green space and open concept really for the public space in front of the event center. So what we see is an overall curb to building yard of over 30 feet. So we have queuing space in front of the building, and then we have separate sidewalk space as well as drop-off that you will see in some of the renderings. So we at Ewing Cole always look at precedent for the community, precedent for any building that we work on. So we started really in the Loplolly Pines that we see all over this section of North Carolina. Verticality that we see in many of the buildings. Here happens to be one on the Fayetteville State campus. And then the use of natural materials within the facility. So you'll start to see woods and glasses and really well sustainable materials. So then as we went through, we took a facade study, started to look at how the building will present to the community. And this starts to give us a flavor for what the entrance and what the lobby space in this case will start to feel like. And then that all led us to this massing and really what the transformation of the corner of Otis Jones and Gillespie will be at the conclusion of the project. So this is one of our renderings that really is an aerial view from the opposite corner of Gillespie and Otis Jones looking back at the event center. You can see outdoor spaces up on the third floor. You can see a long, lengthy entry and lobby into the theater space. This large box is the theater, which will seat 3,000. And then the lower area down here that you see beyond is space for the multipurpose room, meeting rooms, and other ancillary spaces. A street view of kind of from the same corner, looking at what the facility will look like as you approach from further up on Gillespie. And then while we won't see this image in real life, an overall view of the Gillespie Street elevation. Obviously, perspective will change that, but that's looking between the courthouse and straight on at the building. And then the corner of Gillespie and Russell, so really two main entrances to the building, one for the event space and then one for meeting spaces. So both functions can happen concurrently. So we see that entry corner. Landscaping along Gillespie to try to soften the space and soften the public view of it, as well as the ability to separate people waiting to come into the venue from the public who is just walking by on the sidewalk or driving by. And that's it. I'll open it up for any questions you might have.
Are there any questions? Any discussion? There are none.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And this was for informational purposes only, so great job.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. Great job
Thank you.
to the
Appreciate all the work.
Center Committee, which is Commissioner Keefe, Commissioner Adams, and Commissioner Council. It's a great job. At this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
We will now move on to the public hearing. Manager Greer, if you would explain the Board of Commissioners procedures for public hearing.
For public hearing, arguments by the proponents and opponents should be limited to a maximum of 10 minutes for each side. If there's no group representative, each speaker shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes until the 10-minute time limit is attained. Rebuttals will only be permitted at the discretion of the chairwoman with the maximum of 1 3-minute presentation by each side.
Okay, this is our public hearing on a proposed economic development.
Right, yes, Project Wave, and Robert Van Giens, CEO, President, CEO of the Fayetteville Cumberland County EDC is here to present.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me join you tonight and having us on your agenda. Project Wave, transparently, is a China-based manufacturer in the renewable energy sector, and we're asking that you consider tonight approving an incentive for a project that would create 282 new jobs over 5 years. They would pay an average wage above our county average of roughly $45,000, and they would invest $79 million in real estate and equipment by 2026. Beyond the jobs and investment, there would be the secondary impacts of the improvements in the tax base and the economic stimulation of those operations. I think it is, we live in very interesting times. I think it's worth noting that this project has been reviewed by the North Carolina Secretary of State's Office, Department of Commerce, and has found the company in good standing. But furthermore, words that are hard for me to even say, acronyms, it is also going through a CFIUS and a FINSA review at the federal level through the Department of Treasury. So all those approvals would have to be made, and the company would have to choose our location. I think we stack up very well for them. This incentive, state incentives, would go a long way towards making that happen. But there are, with any sort of foreign investment, especially from a non-allied nation, additional security considerations that will be looked at the state and federal level as well. And it's only after all those clearances would we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Okay, well, at this time, I will open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Close the public hearing on that. And any questions or discussions? Commissioner Adams.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the incentive grant not to exceed $2,128,000 paid in installments over a 5-year period.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now move on to our rezoning cases. Zoning case 230014, and as we move on to that, we want to recognize Mr. Crumpler, the chair of the planning board. Manager Greer.
Yes, we have 3 zoning cases today, and Ross Howard, Director of Planning and Inspection, will take us through all 3 and provide an overview and take any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening, Mr. Howard.
Yeah, the first case I have for you this evening is stated as case ZON-23-14. See if I can get this open. There we go. You see that? So this case is located centrally pretty much in Cumberland County, as you can see highlighted by the star. It's between pretty much Eastover and the city of Fayetteville. The applicant owner is Fulcher Real Estate LLC. The agent is Mr. Ken Smith. The request is to go from MP Industrial and C1P Planned Local Business to MP CZ Planned Industrial Conditional Zoning. So the intent is to expand the current on-site contractor business. If you recall, about 2, maybe 3 months ago, we had a case that was that also involved these back 3 parcels that are here that are currently zoned MP. We zoned those back then to MP. So the applicant is coming pretty much for the remaining portions that he owns on the front to pretty much shore up the rest of his site. So it's for about 10.5 acres for the area that you see highlighted in red. You can see that this is off Middle River Loop Road. I'll show you some maps here in a minute, but you can see here's I-95. It sits right at the Fayetteville city limits. Comes off of River Road, right where the on-ramp of Business 95 comes in. It sits pretty much right there on that corner. You can see it a little bit better on this picture here. So it sits next to the tractor dealership that's there. You can see it's pretty much at a pretty key intersection for the entrance into the city of Fayetteville and for this area. But it's got some single family to the north. As I said before, there was it's got some industrial zoning on site, and pretty much it's being used as a contractor storage yard already. So it's just expanding the current business that's there. This is the zoning, as I stated before. This MP section was zoned, as I said, a couple months back, where the board agreed to approve that. So the request right now, you see 3 parcels. The applicant has already come in and done a recombination parcel to take all of this into 1 parcel. Even though it's showing 3 right now, there's been a plat file and approved, so the current GIS shows it as 1 parcel of land. So right now it's just shoring up the zoning of the C1P and the MP to take it to a conditional zoning for the expansion of his business. There is some water and sewer out in this area for the site, but you see the presence of hydric soils, but there are utilities that are present in the area. When staff had looked at this against the Eastover land use plan, the plan fully supports the request, so staff had recommended for it because the plan supported it. Is to provide areas for clean industries, promote efforts to encourage new industrial development, provide sufficient zone industrial areas, and to locate this type of development in areas that have the least impact on the surrounding residential areas. So the site plan that you see here, which was part of the request and is attached and should be in your packet, you can see here, this is pretty much the existing site. And I'm sorry this is a little bit or jumbled, I should say. I'm going to try to dissect this a little bit better for you. This is the existing business that you see sitting on the corner. The proposal is to expand the office building by about 8,400 square feet, which would be an extension off the back part of the building that you see here, and to add a new maintenance building, which you can see fully right here, would be added to the site. And of course, what comes with that is the expansion of parking. There will be some new parking that is here, and then you can see that there will be a new parking lot that is included on the front part of the property here for the maintenance building as well. So this is the subject property from Middle Loop River Road. As you can see this looking in, so the existing building, as I said before, is on the right. There will be an expansion going out to the back part of that building. This is the northeast view with the site immediately on the left-hand side. This is standing on the property, looking out towards the access road or the Middle River Loop Road. You can see the on-ramp right there for the Business 95. And then this is the southwest view with the site immediately on the right. You can see the public notice sign as required by state statutes for us to advertise for the property. So staff had recommended approval of the request. When we took this to the planning board at last month's meeting, they supported it by a unanimous vote, 7-0. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer what I can.
Are there any questions? Okay, we'll open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
We have 2 speakers in favor of. Our first speaker is Garrett Fulcher.
Okay, our second speaker.
Kenneth Smith.
Just here in case you want.
Okay.
I like these speakers.
Any other speakers?
No, ma'am.
I will close the public hearing. If I can get if there are no questions or discussion, if I can get, I'm sorry, Commissioner Keith.
Yes, ma'am. In case of zoning 23-0014, I move to approve the rezoning request from C1P Planned Local Business District and MP Planned Industrial District to an MP Conditional Zoning Planned Industrial District Conditional Zoning, and find the request is consistent with the Eastover Land Use Plan, which calls for industrial at this location. The request is reasonable and in the public interest, as it is compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. We'll move on to zoning case 23-0016.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I didn't have a formal presentation for this one, but in the spirit of what you see a lot of changing the names of Fort Bragg to Fort Liberty, staff wanted to get out ahead and try to go through our zoning and our subdivision ordinance, just try to make those changes accordingly, so that's what we did. This first text amendment that you see before you is just a comprehensive update of the zoning ordinance. We went through the zoning ordinance and made references of where it had stated Fort Bragg. We changed that to Fort Liberty. That's all this is. Okay. So we took that to the planning board last month, and actually the subsequent case 19 is the same identical thing. It's just for the subdivision ordinance, since we have 2 ordinances that are separate. So again, we took this to the planning board last month, and they supported it by a unanimous vote as well, 7-0. So that's what this is.
Okay, I will open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
I will close the public hearing. Any questions or discussion? If not, I will ask for a motion.
In case zoning 2316, I move to approve the text amendment and find the request consistent with the 2030 Growth Vision Plan, because while specific land use plans, let me give me some water, do not address a comprehensive update to the county zoning ordinance. A current ordinance that is in compliance with federal law allows the department to continue to provide efficient and effective services to achieve goals laid out not only in the 2030 Growth Vision Plan, but all detailed land use plans within the county. Approval of this text amendment is also reasonable and in the public interest, as is the update to clarify standards and review processes for the public.
Second.
Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. And we'll move on to zoning case 23-0019, which is the same as 0016. Do you have a presentation for that?
Nope, it's just for the subdivision ordinance.
Okay, it's for the subdivision. I will open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
I will close the public hearing. Any questions or comments, discussion? There being none, a motion?
I'll take it. Madam Chair, in the case of zoning 23-0019, I move to approve the text amendment and find the request consistent with the 2030 Growth Vision Plan. Because while specific,
thank you.
Thank
you.
Land use plan policies do not address a comprehensive update to the county subdivision ordinance. A current ordinance that is in compliance with federal law allows the department to continue to provide efficient and effective services to achieve goals laid out not only in the 2030 Growth Vision Plan, but all detailed land use plans within the county. Approval of this text amendment is also reasonable and in the public interest, as is an update to clarify standards and review processes for the public.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. We will now move on to items of business. Item 5A has been removed. And now we'll move on to item 5B, the salary classification schedules for county attorneys. Manager Greer.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
On August 10th, at the agenda session, you tasked me with coming back with an alternative plan regarding attorneys' compensation. And I'll go through that in lieu of having an outside contract for legal services. A little background, when you look at our county attorneys, we have three groups or three departments: child support, Department of Social Services, and the legal county attorney's office. The current range for a staff attorney or attorney one for child support starts at a minimum of approximately $72,900, and the maximum being $122,621. $22. For the legal manager, which is equivalent to an attorney two in other organizations and comparable with the Department of Social Services, starts at $79,756.43 with a maximum of $134,229.26. Department of Social Services, the attorney one starts at $76,237 and with a maximum of $128,306. The attorney two for the Department of Social Services starts at $87,368 with a maximum of $147,041. And then for the county attorney's office, they don't have any attorney ones. They start out all their attorneys at a staff attorney two. The beginning salary is $83,468 with a maximum of $140,477 approximately. The county attorney range is approximately $125,836 with the maximum being $211,781. Now, for context, we went and we looked at comparable counties, and we just looked at counties. We didn't look at cities because a lot of cities don't have the same services that we have as far as child support, DSS, and legal. So we went to Wake County. You can see the minimum and the maximum here for their child support, kind of in line, but a little bit higher. Legal, their legal attorneys, you can see kind of started the same amount, but the range spans out, and the midpoint is a little higher. Same with the deputy county attorney, senior deputy county attorney, and their county attorney. One thing I would like to emphasize too is that Wake, Durham, Forsyth, Guilford, and New Hanover, the ones we compared to, all of their attorneys work for the county attorney. They're not separate, not in separate departments. They all work for the county attorney. So when we were trying to find out the information for the different county attorneys, it was a little difficult trying to compare apples to oranges, but you can see Durham starts at $115 for their senior assistant, which would be equivalent to our attorney two. The county attorney doesn't have a range, but currently at $248, $240. For Forsyth County, you can see the starting is $89 and goes all the way up to $260 approximately for the county attorney. New Hanover County, their attorneys start out at a minimum of, the minimum is $79,219 with a maximum of $134,795 for just the attorney, which would be equivalent to attorney one in their Department of Social Services. The senior attorney, $87,418 with a maximum of $148,612. And then in the legal department, you can see it starts out at $101, $198 for the deputy county attorney, no staff attorney below that, and then the county attorney goes all the way up to $230. In Guilford, you can see it starts at legal services administrator at $69, but the average is actually $89,000 for that position at Guilford, and then you can see the starting salaries for each one of those. Now, for our you gave us a task, and you made a recommendation on the 10th that we should start out everybody at $93,000. Okay, and so I took that and applied that to our county attorneys. So if you start with the child support attorney one, if we started them out at 93 and change the range, it would go all the way up to 147. It's recommended they would go up to $147,552. The Department of Social Services attorney one would start at $95,000, and the max would be $148,552. The county attorney's office, the attorney one, since the work that they do encompasses all of the county, we would recommend starting them off at $100,000, and with a max of $170,835. The county attorney current range move it up to $144,711, with a max of $243,548. And then since for all for all attorney twos within the organization, we would recommend that they start at 110 with a max of 169. Now, I say attorney twos, we have two, one in child support that's like the legal services manager, which is equivalent to attorney twos in other organizations and would be equivalent to the attorney two or the senior or the managing attorney in DSS. And so we said everybody that's within that range would start off at 110, and the max being $169,097. What would be the budgetary effect? Right now we have 7 people, and so 7 attorneys in DSS, the total change, and 2 in child support that we would have to adjust to the 93, let's say based on the minimum, 93, 95. The total cost with benefits, if we made that adjustment for all of this recommendation, would be $64,000 with benefits. $51,000 in salaries and additional $15,000 depending on how you calculate it for benefits. And that's because the reimbursement that we would receive from the state, the county's cost would be at the max roughly $65,000. So also, in order to, and the question may come up, that kind of disincentivizes someone wanting to be a child support attorney based on the $2,000. What I would request tonight is that we provide flexibility for both child support, Department of Social Services, and the county attorney's office to hire somebody based on experience within 5%, allow them a 5% range from the minimum so they can move people in. So let's say we have an attorney that comes out of law school and has experience of 3 or 4 years or maybe even 5 years, and we give them additional $5% over the 93, they would start out at $97,000. With this salary scale and moving the salary scale and starting it here, we'll be very competitive in the state, and we will probably get hired, wouldn't have any vacancies, and be able to fill the positions that we have. I think we only have right now, if I remember correctly, 1 in DSS, but if we moved everybody, like I said, it'd be $64,000. And then so my recommendations are approve the recommended change in the starting salaries for all attorneys of the county, approve the recommended range in compensation, change in compensation ranges for the attorneys in the child support, DSS, and county attorney's office, and make these adjustments in compensation beginning with the pay period starting August 28, 2023. And I think if we do this in lieu of starting the contract and you've already tasked the county attorney's office to assist DSS with their cases, if we do this and get fully engaged and hire everybody for DSS, child support, and the county attorney's office, I think we'll come out better in the long run. And then if that doesn't happen, then we probably revisit it down the road for the outside services.
Okay,
I'll take any questions you have.
We have a couple of questions, but I'll go. I have something to say, and I'll go to Commissioner Keith and then Commissioner Adams. What are you using to gauge new attorneys coming in? The comment that you gave was the 5% increase. Say you have an attorney who's new here but been working 15 years or so. Are you still going to start them off at the minimum?
No.
Because we have that habit.
If we had that flexibility to allow them to go up 5% above the 93, let's say if I just...
How about 5% above the midpoint? That's my question.
Well, if they had the experience.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I want to know, because oftentimes, we always start at the minimum. We always start at the bottom, and we got people that come in here that they're new here, but they're not new to the process. So that's what I was wondering what you were using to that end. Just think we got to stop starting at the bottom all the time, because other people are, they end up going because they get paid better. Commissioner Keith?
Well, thank you for that segue in, because are we required to start at the minimum?
No, I was
Okay.
just using that as a starting point.
But why do we, who gets to make the decision?
Ultimately, me.
Okay, so why do you need the 5%? I mean, if somebody comes in with a bunch of experience, you can make that call.
Let me, how do I best put it?
I think he'd
We have
rather
to
not-
have a floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the department directors can attest that if there's someone with the skills, knowledge, and experience, and they make a recommendation over the 5%, generally I accept that and move them further in the range. So even though the midpoint's 120, if they feel like they have a superstar, they want to hire them, I will approve it and say move forward. So I used the 93, 95 in the start as an example.
Yeah.
But
And also when you advertise it, you can have to
yeah.
say the range is 93 to 147.5.
Right, right.
And I think, to the county manager, I think you've earned the trust of the board that you're going to be very pragmatic with county funds, and we need to get the best people. I want to clarify. You said that there's 5 in social services, there's 2 in child support, and how many do we have less the county attorney in the attorney's office?
There's 5, and I can tell you for sure, because I don't want to mess this up. There's
Okay.
7 in DSS, 2 in child support, and 5 in the county attorney's office.
Then the county attorney.
Including the county attorney.
Okay, so are any of those vacant?
1 for DSS that I know of.
That's the only thing that's vacant right
Right.
now. Okay. You had mentioned early on that many of these counties have a hierarchy and they're not operating in silos. We operate in silos of DSS they have a lead attorney, and our attorney only handles things that doesn't happen there. But in other counties, all of these other attorneys report to the attorney. So you used to be in Greensboro. Did Greensboro have that?
Yes,
They all reported to one attorney.
yes.
And how did that work?
It worked okay. It depends on, there were some issues in DSS at times because there wasn't, the attorney was busy and he didn't really have a supervisor to deal directly with some of the DSS attorneys. But there was a good collaborative relationship between the DSS director, department. It was a consolidated DSS department and Lower Health. It was a good collaboration between the department and the county attorney's office.
Yeah.
And they were technically assigned to DSS. So even though they reported to the county attorney, they were assigned to DSS.
Yeah. Do you know what the wisdom was of separating? Because to me, it seems totally inefficient to have legal and have 3 different silos, because we got ourselves caught in a situation that we're dealing with right now. If they were all under one attorney, he could say, okay, my attorney crew, some of you are going to start handling some DSS crew, and it would have been all internal. So to me, it seems non-efficient to have 3 separate attorney offices. And try to convince me otherwise, but I mean.
I've seen it both ways. In Orange County, we had it separate. So it just depends on the relationship between the county attorney's office and the individual departments and how well they work together in the past. That would be more of a decision that you all will have to work out, since we're not consolidated with the Department of Social Services and their health board, because we're not consolidated. That's and partly because the other ones are consolidated. That's the reason why. Now, I'm not advocating one way or the other, but that when you look at these other, they're consolidated, and that's the reason why.
Okay, I want to follow up because you brought up something else. Do any of these other counties have the Board of Commissioners have more of a say that's happening in their public health director, social services, or child support? Because we don't.
I don't know as far as, I know in Guilford, because we were consolidated, that the board was actually the Board of Health and the Board of
Commissioners.
Yes.
Okay, so they had more oversight.
Right,
into
they had
all this.
more oversight. But again, that's the reason why, since we all are separate, that's the reason why you have a legal for each one, because you're not consolidated. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm just saying That's the reason why.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Adams.
Well, and Commissioner Keith, you remember we did that a year ago. We went through that whole study and voted not to go to consolidate. I mean, you weren't here, but you remember?
We were on the bubble.
We were on the bubble.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be movement. So I come in at 93, is there some movement?
Yes.
Or do I have to wait? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, I see the midpoint and all of that. So is there a policy on movement? I guess, and that might come out the comp study.
That would come out.
Because when we get into this, and if I come in at 93 and all I can do is get the step,
Cost of living.
the cost of living every year. So is there a step within, I know you did this to be able to do this, so I guess out the comp study, there are gonna be some steps and all of that.
Yeah. And initially, in order to deal with comp, and I don't want to get ahead of myself,
Right.
but to get ahead, to make sure that we don't have compression.
Right.
And I'll use this as an example. Let's say someone has 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15, and 15 beyond. There'll be a percentage that will move everyone along whatever the recommended minimum or whatever they are in the compensation study, so we don't have compression amongst everybody. Because the last thing you want to do is implement a compensation plan and then have everybody bunched up, because the only thing they're going to do is, well, lack of a better term, they're going to start complaining about such and such is making just as much as more as me, and I have more experience, knowledge, and skills, knowledge, and experience. So we would make an adjustment and try to make the adjustment every year so we can address compression and make sure everybody's evenly spaced out.
And my last thing, so that all of our employees know that you were tasked to do this from our agenda setting conference.
Yes.
But there is a whole comp study that's coming that's going to include every employee in Cumberland County, and that's
Yes.
just a matter of you finishing that. We've got a question today on that, but there is a comp study coming. So, we'll start hearing tomorrow that while we were included in this was what was tasked for that, and I think you did a commendable job. Thank you so very much for that.
So, again, if you approve this, we'll move forward. We're making the necessary adjustment for the attorneys that are currently here that are under the minimum, and then make an adjustment so we don't have compression.
Okay, if there are no other questions or discussion, I will call for a motion.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner
Madam Chair, I would
Booth.
move that we approve the 3 recommendations as presented by our county manager of the starting salaries for all attorneys, child support, DSS, and county attorney departments, and that it will begin August 28, 2023.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to consideration of agreement for utility services. Manager Greer.
Yes, Jermaine Walker's been talking with a developer regarding water service, utility services in the East Bluff subdivision, I think, and he will go through that, and then afterwards we have to have the Norcrest meeting to discuss it again. So I'll turn it over to Jermaine.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
This is a standard utility agreement brought forward to the board by Lake Tree Incorporated, and what they're requesting is installation of a sanitary utility service in Eagles Bluff Phase 1, which is a 36-unit single-family housing development. They're looking to add about 2,600 linear feet of piping at no cost to the county. And this agreement has undergone a technical and legal review, and we're just requesting that the board accept it and move it forward to the Norcrest Water and Sewer Governing Board for approval.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Adams.
I do have one question. So this is down in Wade.
Yes, sir, it's in Wade.
Godwin's coming along too with the Norcrest, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's going to be able to, because they've got like 2 sets of plans that they've got coming on. All Norcrest will be able to handle all of that?
Yes, sir. We still have capacity.
Okay. And it actually helps the system because that's the enterprise system. And so this actually ends up benefiting the county as much and Norcross as much as it does these developers.
Yes, sir. And we get to add another 36 customers to the system.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? I'll call for a motion.
Madam Chair, I recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the contract with Lake Tree Incorporated for connection to the Norcross system.
Second.
It's been moved in properly. Second, all those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. This time, we will move on to Commissioner Adams for nominations.
Madam Chair, we got nominations for the Fayetteville Tech Community College Board of Trustees.
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to nominate Mr. Adam Phillips for Fayetteville Technical College Board of Trustees.
That will move us to the appointments, Madam Chair.
Yes.
And there were 2 vacancies. We would move to appoint Jordan Stewart and Devin McNeil to the ABC Board. Devin McAllister. I'm just having a rough time right now.
Second. It's been moved and properly second for, who'd you say?
Jordan Stewart and Devin McAllister.
And Devin McAllister for the ABC Board.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Unanimous.
And to the Local Emergency Planning Committee, there's 1 vacancy. Motion to appoint Logan Herndon.
Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. At this time, we will recess the Board of Commissioners meeting and convene the Norcrest Water and Sewer District Governing Board meeting. We'll move on to, who's coming? The Norcrest Water and Sewer District items of business?
Madam Chair, this was the one that came through the agreement for the utilities. We did it for the Board of Commissioners. Now we have to do it as Norcrest. I would move to and recommend that we approve the contract with Lake Tree Incorporated for connection to the Norcrest system.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you. I will now adjourn the Norcrest Water and Sewer District Governing meeting and reconvene the Board of Commissioners meeting. And at this time, we do not have a closed session.
Motion to adjourn. What happened?
Robert has something very urgent, economic development.
Really?
And can we go ahead and do closed session?
Really, Robert? Urgent.
For economic development.
We will now go into a
I'll
closed
make a
session.
motion to go into closed session for economic development, GS. All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yeah, Commissioner Fairclough.
Okay, thank you.